we knew what their strengths and their weaknesses was. We knew what they could and could not do. Okay. Now, when they pulled the guy up, and instead of using him under the character that we developed for them, 99% of the time they wanted to put him in another character. Well, they would go up totally, discombobulated, so to speak, because, they had been training one way and they were good at the characters that we developed for them, but they didn't get to use those. And I don't know if that was intentional or what, I have no idea. I just know that on a daily basis, after Jim Ross left Talent Relations, it was a headache to do business with them. It really was. It was things weren't as smooth as they had been. They weren't as smooth as they should have been. They damn sure wasn't as smooth as they, were going to be. It was just, it was a lot of sleepless nights for me and a lot of hair pulling, even though I still got mine a little bit,
Yeah.
You remember Sylvester Turkai?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean, just a huge guy, and he had talent and whatnot. And I think, he would have made it if they had just, given him, a little more opportunity and would let us put him in a certain character, because there was something he needed a certain character, and it just didn't happen. And, for whatever reason, and I never knew why, but normally when the contracted guys were released from their contract, that would come out of the WWF at the time office. Well, they gave me the unfortunate power to release Turkai and a young man I like, Brian Keck. And that was really hard for me to do, because I saw potential there. And I knew there was potential there based on everything else I'd learned, in my years in the business. And I had to like tell them, you got to go. And, that's, those were the only two that I ever had to let go, of WWE guys, because I said, hey, look, I don't like this, because I see them one way, you see them another, but I trust my way, and I refuse to do it again, because it wasn't anything I like to do. It was not anything I like to do.
Is that part of the reason why the OVW-WWE relationship went downhill, or was it also because Jim Ross was like basically not in the same role?
Well, John Laurinaitis was, head of talent relations there.
Yes.
And no, I mean, I think over the years they tried other territories. They tried Deep South Wrestling. They tried HWA. In Cincinnati less, and
yep.
And I think those guys did a hell of a job with everything. But for whatever reason, and I don't know what the reason was, they ended up going away. And OVW stood the test of time. We were producing talent. We were doing everything they wanted to do, but something happened, and it had to do with a character that put on like a soldier guerrilla. You know how they put on this black stuff, to
yep.
Like so that no reflection will come. Anyway.
Yep.
So that happened, and honestly, I didn't know it was going to happen, and I think Al and these guys put it together, and anyhow, it got when WWE, when John Laurinaitis and Ty somebody, I can't remember his name, no disrespect to him, but anyway, they took it as something it wasn't, like with an African American something, and they pulled the plug because I didn't have control of things, supposedly. And I'm like, I didn't even know they were doing this. I mean, I didn't see it until they come out of the locker. Yeah, anyhow. And so when John and Ty comes down, he takes me to lunch at a restaurant, Tumbleweeds, not far from where the arena was. and John says, we're going to let you go, and we're pulling the plug here, and we're moving everything to Tampa, where they were setting up. And I said, well, I kind of figured you were going to do that because Steve Kern came up and shadowed me for a week, and I said, I'm pretty sure I kind of knew what was going on there. Anyway, I put my hand on John's shoulder, and I says, thank you, John. Now I can breathe.